one thing is a bit of a prediction. Here's the thing that's a little bit out of turn. I couldn't say that this at too many of the other events, but I can get away with it here. I can prove to you biologically that women make better leaders than men. Not my opinion, I will prove it to you. Here's the second thing. This is the prediction. There is a magic here. I was watching those videos. There's a magic here that is much bigger than clothing. It's much bigger than entrepreneurship. I actually think you have something special here, which may actually be the formula for world peace. No. There's a lot of craziness that's going on in our world today. Sort of there's tensions and racial tensions, and nobody seems to be getting along. And I think you figured something out that this country, if not this planet, desperately needs. Here's the point. We, as a species, are social animals. Our very survival depends on our ability to trust each other and cooperate and get along with each other, right? We have to trust and cooperate. You can just imagine life 50,000 years ago, when Homo sapiens just sort of walking on this planet for the first time. There were other hominid species that existed. They died off, and we survived. And the reason we survived was not just because of our big brains, it's because we have the ability to work together. By ourselves, we're junk. By ourselves, we cannot lift heavy weights or solve complex problems, but in groups, we are remarkable. There are inherent benefits to living and working amongst people we trust. It means that I can fall asleep at night and trust that someone else will watch for danger. If I don't trust the people I live with, if I don't trust the people I work with, then I can't fall asleep at night. Bad system. We have to trust and we have to cooperate. The problem is trust and cooperation are not instructions, they're feelings. I cannot order you to trust me. There's no presentation or PowerPoint that I can give upon the conclusion you will trust me. It doesn't exist. I can't even instruct people to cooperate. I can instruct people to work together, but that's different. Cooperation means that I can turn my back and trust that you won't stab me. Cooperation means that I can ask you to do something and trust that you will do it to the best of your ability, and I do not have to check your work. And that is a much higher standard. So I ask the simple question, where do trust and cooperation come from? As it turns out, it's not about the individual. As it turns out, it's about the group. It's an environmental thing. And if you get the environment right, trust and cooperation are the normal outcome. If you get the environment wrong, cynicism, paranoia, mistrust, and self-interest always prevail. You can just imagine what life must have been like in those Paleolithic times, in these caveman times 50,000 years ago. It was a world filled with danger. It was a world filled with all of these forces working very, very hard to kill us. Nothing personal, it's just the way it was. Where there was lack of food, bad weather, lack of resources, saber-tooth tiger, whatever. And so we evolved into these social animals where we lived and worked amongst people around whom we felt safe. And when we felt safe amongst our own, the natural human response to those conditions is trust and cooperation. When we do not feel safe amongst our own, the natural human reaction is cynicism, paranoia, mistrust, and self-interest. Nothing has changed in our modern world. The world is still filled with unpredictable dangers. The ups and downs of an economy, the uncertainty of a stock market, your competition that is sometimes trying to put you out of business, the stresses and strains of daily life of which we have no control. There's only one variable, the conditions inside the organization, and that's why we have leaders. Get the conditions right, and we naturally trust and cooperate. What does that look like? Let me give you a real-life example. I was getting ready to board an airplane, and I was witness to a scene that played out in front of me. One of the passengers attempted to board the plane before their gate number was called, before their group number was called, I mean, which, as we all know, is a felony. And I watched it play out. The gate agent berated the passenger, "Sir, step aside. I haven't called you a group yet. Please step aside and wait till I call you a group," is exactly how she talked to him. So I spoke up, and I said, "Why do you have to talk to us that way? Why can't you talk to us like we're human beings?" And she looked me in the eye and said, "Sir, if I don't follow the rules, I could get in trouble or lose my job." All she revealed to me is that she does not feel safe in her own organization. All she revealed to me is that she doesn't feel that her leaders trust her to do the job for which she's been trained. And guess who suffers? Customer and company. The reason we love flying Southwest Airlines is not because they have some magical formula to hire great people. It's because the people who work there feel safe in their own jobs and feel that their leaders trust them to do the job for which they've been trained. And guess who benefits? Customer and company. In fact, I had an experience just a few weeks ago that proved this point better than I could ever explain it. I was staying at the Four Seasons in Las Vegas, which is a wonderful hotel, right? And the reason it's a wonderful hotel is not because they have comfy beds. Any hotel can buy comfy beds. The reason it's a wonderful hotel is because of how the people who work there make us feel. I was buying a cup of coffee from the coffee stand they have down in the lobby, and there was a barista, his name's Noah, who was serving me. Noah was amazing. He was full of life, he was funny, he was engaging, he was curious about me. And I asked him, "Do you like your job?" And he looks at me, and without even skipping a beat, he says, "I love my job." I said to him, "So what is the Four Seasons doing that would make you say to me, 'I love my job'?" And without skipping a beat again, he said, "Throughout the day, managers will walk past me and ask me how I'm doing, ask me if there's anything that I need." He says, "Not just my manager, any manager." He says, "When I come to work here, I feel I can be myself." And then he said something magical. He said, "I also work at Caesar's Palace. And there the managers walk around to make sure we're doing everything right, and they try and catch us if we're doing anything wrong. When I go to work there, I like to keep my head beneath the radar and not stand out. And I just want to get through the day so I can get my paycheck." How do you think customers are treated at the Four Seasons by Noah? How do you think customers are treated at Caesar's Palace by Noah? Same person. The only difference is the leadership. One group of leaders has committed themselves to taking care of their people. The other group of leaders has committed themselves to making sure that those people take care of them. And in one of those circumstances, it works and one of them doesn't. And the problem is it becomes self-fulfilling. Because if I went to talk to the managers at Caesar's Palace, they would say, "I can't get good performance out of my people. I have to drive them harder if I'm going to get anything out of them." What they don't realize is it's them. Leaders set the tone. Leaders set the conditions. And when leaders make us feel safe inside our own organization, we commit ourselves to the advancement of that organization, and we take care of each other. And so if you have to build a circle of safety, it begs the question, how do you build a circle of safety? As it turns out, the human body functions the exact same way as an organization. If we want to direct the behavior of people inside an organization, we all know what to do. Give people some sort of incentive, a bonus for example, and set some sort of goal, and guess what everybody does? They work towards the goals that we set because of the incentives that we offer, right? Pretty easy. Hit the goal, get the bonus. Hit the goal, get the bonus, right? Perfectly fine. We do the same thing with our children. Eat your vegetables, get dessert. Clean your room, get a gold star, right? And guess what it does? We get the behavior that we want, right? Well, inside the human body is a system of chemicals, a system of rewards and incentives designed to get us to repeat behavior that are in our best interest. If you've ever had a feeling of happiness, joy, success, achievement, pride, love, friendship, loyalty, all of these feelings can basically be boiled down to four chemicals inside our bodies. They are endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. EDSO. Let me break them down for you. The first one, endorphins. Everybody here knows what an endorphin rush is, or a runner's high. Endorphins have one purpose and one purpose only. It is to mask physical pain. That's what they do. You go for a run. You push your body a little harder than you used to, and you feel good. And so you keep going. And at the end of your run, you feel fantastic. And then about an hour later, you're in pain for damage you caused to your muscles that you caused about an hour before, because the endorphins have run out, right? Now, the caveman reason for endorphins is much more practical, and it boils down to food. We're not the strongest animal, nor are we the fastest animal, and yet we still have to eat. As it turns out, human beings are made for endurance. We can go hunting and gathering and tracking for hours and hours and hours and miles and miles and miles, and we don't give up simply because we're tired, or because we're hurt, or because we have to carry something heavy back. We persist, not intellectually. Intellectually, we persist because it feels good, right? And this is the reason we can go hunting and gathering. Now, in our modern day and age, with cars and supermarkets, we don't really need endorphins much for survival anymore. The main way we get them is from heavy exercise. There's some other fun ways that you can get endorphins. No, not that. You were thinking about chocolate? Laughter. The reason laughing feels good is because when we laugh, we convulse our internal organs, and endorphins are released to mask that physical pain, and that's why the laughing feels good. We've all had the experience where you laugh so hard, you laugh so much, you say, stop, stop, it hurts. It's because the endorphins have run out. Dopamine. Dopamine is responsible for the feeling we get when we find something we're looking for or we accomplish something we set out to accomplish. You know that feeling you get when you cross something off your to-do list that's sort of like, ah, that's dopamine, right? I was running some errands back home in New York. I had a little to-do list written on the back of an envelope or something. I walked past a store where I had something to do, but I had forgotten to write it on my list. Walking past the store reminded me. So I went into the store, completed my errand, came out, wrote it on the list across to that. Because I wanted the feeling of accomplishment, right? Dopamine is responsible for the feeling we get when we find something we're looking for. Here it is. And you find your keys. Right? When you accomplish something you set out to accomplish. Did it. Yes. When we hit the goal, when we win the game. Yes. It's all because of this magical chemical called dopamine. Now, the caveman reason for dopamine once again boils down to food. Right? You can just imagine our ancestors walking across the plains or the savannas, and in the distance they see an apple tree or a gazelle, and they get a shot of dopamine that says, hey, that's the thing you're looking for, get it. And so dopamine allows us to focus on our goal, focus on our target, stay clear of distractions, and start making our way towards the thing that we want. And as we get a little closer to the tree gets a little bigger, we get another shot of dopamine that says, you're getting closer, keep going, keep going. And so we keep going, and going, and going, and going, until we finally get to the tree. We're like, yes, did it, we achieved our goal. We're very, very visual animals. You have to be able to see the thing you're after for this little system to work. We're no good with the abstract or the amorphous. This is why we're often told you have to write down your goals. If you don't write down your goals, you may not achieve them. There's some biological truth to that. Like I said, we're no good with the abstract. What if I told you that you will get a bonus if you accomplish more? And you say, how much more? And I say, more. It's unnerving. What am I supposed to do? Give me a goal, give me a task, and I can figure it out. I can plan my way to that. But when it's this abstract amorphous thing, I literally don't know what to do. We're very, very visual animals. This is why visions are important. Vision statements. The reason we call them vision statements is because you have to be able to see them. The problem with most vision statements is they are abstract, they are useless. To be the best, to be the biggest, to be the fastest growing, to be the most respected. Based on what? Based on what time frame? Who has agreed to those metrics? How do I know that you're the best? I haven't agreed. They're amorphous. Martin Luther King, he understood vision. I have a dream, he said, that one day, little black children will hold hands on the playground with little white children. You can imagine that. You can see that in your mind's eye. It's specific. And if that's the kind of world you want to live in, if that's the kind of world you want to raise your children in, you set your sights on achieving that vision, and every milestone you pass makes us feel like we're making progress towards it. Now, for all intents and purposes, we will never actually get there, but we will die trying, and that's the point. Metrics are very, very important. Metrics help us understand the progress we're making. Can you imagine running a marathon with no mile markers? Unnerving. I'm just running and I have no idea. Am I going fast? Am I going slow? Am I making progress? So they put mile markers so that we can count them. And that way we know that we're making progress. We can get that dopamine. The difference between a goal and a vision is the finish line. A goal is 26.2 miles. Easily measured, fixed in time, simply count the metrics, and when you get there, you pick another goal and you work towards it. A vision is having a crystal clear sense of what the finish line in the distance in the future looks like, but no sense of how far away it is. And for all intents and purposes, every marathon you complete is a milestone on the way to completing your vision. This is what I mean when I talk about knowing why you do what you do. It's something very long-term, it's something very specific, and it's something to devote your life to. And then you choose goals that will make you feel like you're making progress towards this grander ideal. Now, dopamine is a wonderful chemical. It's the reason we are accomplishment machines. It's the reason we sell anything. It's the reason we get anything done. However, it comes with a warning. If left unbalanced, dopamine can be highly, highly, highly addictive. Here are some other things that release dopamine: alcohol, nicotine, gambling, your cell phone. Think about how gambling works. I know what the apple tree in the distance looks like. It's 3 sevens, and if I get 3 sevens, I get rich, crystal clear. And so I perform a behavior that takes me towards my goal. I put a coin in the machine and I pull the handle. And then I get 1 7, nearly there, keep going. So I put another coin in the machine and I pull the handle. And this time I get the bottom of 1 7 and the top of another 7. Keep going. And then I pull the handle again and I get 2 sevens and then I miss one and I go, oh, like you just missed. And so you keep going, you keep going, you keep going. If you played a machine where there was no indications of progress, if you got 0 sevens, you would either think the machine was broken, or you'd go looking for another machine because this one's no fun. Because dopamine feels good. When the primary means by which we incentivize behavior is a dopamine-based reward system, hit the goal, get the bonus, hit the goal, get the bonus, hit the goal, get the bonus. If left unbalanced, we can actually create business environments in which the people become addicted to making the numbers. They actually become addicted to performance. This is what has happened in so many of our investment banks. This is unfortunately what has happened in so many male-led organizations, where they think numbers are everything. They've actually created organizations with an entire group of people who are addicted, and like any addict, they will destroy relationships, they will waste time, they will stab each other in the back so they can get their next hit. Because that's the only way they find happiness and joy, is these short-term hits, but those don't last. That's the problem with endorphins and dopamine. It doesn't last. Yes, it feels good, but it goes away. If you worked out this morning and you got an endorphin rush, that feeling is gone. That's why you have to do it again. And there's not a single person in this room, absolutely zero, who's walking around with this amazing sense of accomplishment for that goal you hit a year ago. It's gone. It means nothing. On to the next. And so when the only means by which we incentivize behavior is the short-term hits, we literally create addicts. That's why we have the other two chemicals. Serotonin and oxytocin are the social chemicals. They're the selfless chemicals. They're the chemicals behind trust and love and friendship. They are the chemicals of the circle of safety. Let me explain the first one first. It's called serotonin. It's the leadership chemical. It's the feeling of pride. It's the feeling of status. There are many healthy ways to get serotonin. One of them is this. One of them is this. Public recognition. Physical public recognition in this environment. I'm sure throughout the event, you will hear names called out and people recognized, and they will come out and they will feel good because it feels good to be recognized by our own tribe. I'm sure at some point somebody will say, let's all give a round of applause to say thank you to Stacy. Stacy, what an amazing job you did putting this event together. And Stacy in the audience will feel amazing. In fact, everybody named Stacy right now is feeling better than everybody else. You see? There's a lot of Stacys in the audience. We want to feel valued and valuable. And one of the ways we get it is this. It cannot be done digitally, cannot be done virtually, it has to be real. Think about it. What does it take to graduate university? Technically, all you need to do is pay your bills, fulfill your minimum requirements, collect enough credits, and that's it. They could email you and say, congratulations, you've graduated university. Enclosed, please find a PDF of your diploma. P.S. Magna cum laude. Right? The accomplishment is the same, it just doesn't feel so good. So instead what we do is we have a big event called commencement. And it seems like a big waste of time and money. No, it's not for social animals. Because what we've done is we've invited our friends and our families and our teachers, all of those who have sacrificed, all of those who've helped us along the way to achieve this thing, and it's a big public recognition ceremony. That's what it is. And that young college graduate hears her name called out in the public forum, and she comes out on the stage to accept her diploma, and the serotonin starts to flow, and she starts to feel proud, and she starts to feel her status rise in the community. And that moment that she grabs the diploma, a huge surge of serotonin goes through her veins, and she feels her self-confidence rise. And here's the best part. At that same exact moment, her parents sitting in the audience also get a surge of serotonin and also feel proud. What serotonin is attempting to do is reinforce the relationship between parent and child, coach and player, between boss and employee, leader and follower, the one who is willing to sacrifice so that the other may gain, and the one who's the recipient of that sacrifice. Sure, you can offer financial incentives to get people to work harder and harder and harder. It gets expensive after a while. It breeds no loyalty whatsoever, and if somebody offers them more, they're gone. But when someone offers us their belief, their blood, their sweat, their tears, their energy, their time, when somebody says, I believe in you, when somebody says, you can do this, when somebody says, I got your back, when somebody says, I will continue to believe in you even when you stop believing in yourself, the feeling we get is overwhelming. And we will work extra hard to prove to them that their belief in us, that their sacrifice in us was worth it. We will offer them our blood and sweat and tears because we want to make them proud. That is biologically accurate. Time and energy, the sacrifice of time and energy, when we give of ourselves to others, the feeling that others get is overwhelming, and it makes us want to work harder. And this is when the team, and this is when the group starts to coalesce and come together. The reason I call serotonin the leadership chemical is simply a matter of history. For 40,000 of the 50,000 years that our species has roamed on this planet, we lived in populations that were rarely bigger than about 150 people. We only started farming about 10,000 years ago and could sustain enough resources to have bigger populations. But for 40,000 of the 50,000 years, about 150, that was it. There's still some practical problems. These are austere times. Food is lacking. Somebody brings some food back to the tribe, dumps it on the ground. We all rush in to eat because we're all hungry. If you're lucky enough to be built like a football player, you can shove your way to the front of the line. If you're the artist of the family, you get an elbow in the face. Bad system. Bad system. Because odds are, if you punch me in the face this afternoon, I'm probably not going to wake you and alert you to danger tonight. Bad system. And so we evolved into hierarchical animals. We're constantly assessing and judging each other. Who's alpha? Who's more senior than us in the social pecking order, the social hierarchy? And when we assess that someone is alpha, more senior in the hierarchy, we voluntarily step back and allow our alphas to eat first. So alphas get first choice of meat and first choice of mate. And though I may not get to eat first, I'm guaranteed to get food, and I don't get an elbow in the face. Good system. Nothing has changed in our modern day. To this day, not a single person here is morally offended by the fact that somebody more senior than you is given preferential treatment. No one is offended by the idea that somebody more senior than you makes a higher salary than you. And you may think they're totally ineffective, but the fact that they make a higher salary bothers no one. And this is why human beings are constantly trying to raise their position in the hierarchy. It's because it comes with certain perks. People call you sir or ma'am. They bring your tea or coffee without you even asking for it. They carry your bags, they open the door for you, they give you upgrades. It's awesome. It's awesome, right? However, the group is not stupid. We don't bestow all of those perks and advantages on our alphas for nothing. There is a subtle and powerful social contract, deep-rooted social contract. You see, the group expects that when danger threatens the tribe, that it's the person who's actually stronger, actually smarter, actually better fed, actually has more self-confidence, will be the one to rush towards the danger, to protect us. That's why we gave you first choice of mate, because we want to ensure that your genes stay in the gene pool. We're not stupid. And this is what it means to be a leader. This is what so viscerally offends people by some of the banking CEOs and their disproportionate salaries and bonus structures. It's not the money. It's that they have violated the very anthropological definition of what it means to be a leader. We're not offended by the money. We're happy our leaders are given preferential treatment. It's that we know that they have allowed their people to be sacrificed so they could keep their bonuses and salaries. Or worse, they chose to sacrifice their people to protect their bonuses and salaries. And this is what we find so repugnant. If I told you we're going to give a $150 million bonus to Nelson Mandela, does anybody have a problem with that? No. How about a $250 million bonus to Mother Teresa? Got an issue with that? No. It's because we are confident that those people would sacrifice their interests to save our lives, and they would never sacrifice our lives to protect their interests. Leadership is not about being in charge. Leadership is about taking care of those in your charge. And it has nothing to do with rank. It is a choice. I know many people who sit at the highest levels of an organization who are not leaders. They have authority, and we do as they tell us because they have authority over us, but we would not follow them. And yet I know many people who are in the mid or lower ranks of an organization that have no authority, but they've made a choice. A choice to look after the person to the left of them, and the choice to look after the person to the right of them, and we would follow them anywhere. Leadership is a skill. Leadership is a daily practice. It's what it is. It's not about being in charge. It's not about where you sit in the hierarchy. It's your willingness to sacrifice your time and energy to take care of the people around you. That's all it is. It's a skill that can be learned. It's a skill that must be practiced. The problem is it cannot be measured on a daily basis. It's like parenting. Do you know if you're being a good parent on a daily basis? Over the course of time, yes. But on a daily basis, if that was the metric, some of us would have our kids taken away from us. It's like exercise. If I were to make a compelling argument as the importance of exercise and you believe it, and you go to the gym the next day and you come home and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing. And if you go to the gym the day after that, you come home and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing. Worse, you're in pain. And so empirically you say, I see no benefit from the effort that I'm spending, and I'm hurting. I quit. Leadership is exactly the same. There is no daily metric. You have to just stick with it. Like good parenting. You just have to study it, practice it, and stick with it. And at some point, I'm not exactly sure when, it works. Simon, how long does it take for exercise to work? I don't know. 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5, 6 weeks? I don't know. How long does it take for leadership to work? I don't know. I know it takes more than a week. But I also know if you've been doing the same thing for a year and you see no results, you're doing something wrong. I know that. I just don't know where. And like exercise, sometimes other people recognize it in us before we recognize it in ourselves. Have you been working out? Actually, I have. Thank you. I didn't know anybody noticed. I didn't even notice. Because looking in the mirror every day, I didn't see anything. It's only when I saw a photograph of myself and I realized, oh my God. Leadership is exactly the same. It is a daily practice. And more important than intensity is consistency. If you go to the dentist twice a year, all your teeth will fall out. You have to brush your teeth twice a day for 2 minutes. And it seems innocuous. Twice a day for 2 minutes? What can that do? Nothing. You're right. If you do it once, it does nothing. It's because you do it every single day. And that's what leadership is. It's lots of little things every single day. And it's the consistency that's so important. Consistency is even more important than intensity. Going to a big event for 2 days and you get a certificate that says you're a leader and there's a bunch of speakers on the stage, you're not a leader. It's what you do tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after, and looking for all the opportunities to sacrifice your interests to take care of those around you. What does that look like? You're driving to work. Somebody wants into your lane. Do you pull your car up or do you pull your car back? That's leadership. I don't know what's going on in their life. Maybe they've been out of work for 6 months, and maybe they're running late because they had trouble getting the kids out to school today, and they have to get to this interview, and they're going to cut through traffic and cut into the exit because they got to get into this interview. Or maybe they're just a bastard. I don't know. But that's the point. We don't know. That's what empathy is. Pulling your car back is an act of leadership. You're at work. You pour yourself a cup of coffee. It's the last cup of coffee. No big deal. Put the empty pot back. The next person wants a cup of coffee. They'll make a new pot. Or you can spend 5 minutes to make a new pot of coffee even though no one will be there to see you do it. That's called an act of leadership. You're standing in an elevator, you're running late for a meeting, you see someone rushing towards the elevator, they're screaming at you to please hold the doors or the doors are closing, what do you do? We've all done it. I've been on the receiving end of it. Or, you go like that. That's called empathy. It's the single most important quality you need to be a leader. How does empathy look inside an organization? Traditionally, somebody's struggling, somebody's performance numbers are down. What happens? Your boss walks into your office and says, we've had this conversation 3 times already. Your numbers have been down 3 quarters in a row. If you don't pick up your numbers, I can't guarantee anything. How inspired are you to come to work the next day? Yeah. Here's what that same scene looks like with empathy. Your numbers are down for the 3rd time in a row. We've had this conversation before. Is everything okay? I'm worried about you. What's going on? That's called leadership. And it's an incredibly human thing. Oxytocin, everyone's favorite chemical. Oxytocin is all the feelings of love and friendship and unicorns and rainbows. Have a thing for unicorns, do you?
You don't even know.
There are many healthy ways to get oxytocin. By the way, when you give birth, women get a huge surge of oxytocin during childbirth. And this is what is responsible for the mother-child bond. Because that's what oxytocin does. It makes us feel close to the people we love. It's because of oxytocin that we just enjoy the company of our friends. We just enjoy doing things with the people who care about us and that we care about. You go to a movie with a friend, right? And there's an empty row with only one other couple sitting there. What do? You walk right up and sit right next to them. They're gonna look and be like, you wanna move down, right? It's because strangers are scary. We want to be close to our friends, but we don't want to be close to strangers. Right? You go to that same movie, you have a friend, it's an empty row, they walk in, they sit down, you sit 1 seat away, and they look at you and go, what's your problem? In fact, I will guarantee that almost every person in this room chose who you're sitting next to. Almost every person in this room chose who you're sitting next to. Because we would rather sit next to somebody we know, or we like, or we've met before, or we work with, because we feel safe being with somebody familiar. And if you came here by yourself and don't know anyone, and you were buying a cup of coffee, you're standing in line, and you're talking to somebody like, you've been here before, like, no, my first time, like, me too! You guys are best friends! Because we would rather sit next to somebody a little bit familiar than totally unfamiliar. Because what it means is, when I'm looking this way, you can be watching for danger that way. We will take care of each other. That's what oxytocin does. It reinforces those little relationships. Right? We just like spending time with our friends. Right? One of the ways we can get oxytocin is this magical thing. It's called human touch. Human touch. It's why it's so important for us to hug our children, for our children to hug us, because it makes them feel biologically safe. Right? Can you imagine you're about to sign a deal with someone? You say, oh my God, I'm so excited to work with you. And they go, I'm excited to work with you too, but I don't need to shake your hand. And you go, this is going to be amazing. And they go, yeah, it's going to be amazing. Don't need to shake your hand. Let's do this deal. You think business is about terms and agreements. No, it's not. Business is about human beings looking for other human beings around whom they can feel safe. And someone's simple refusal to shake your hand means one of two things will happen. You'll either walk away from the deal, or you will go into the deal with doubt. Human. I'm a hugger. You know, that's what people say. They want to create connection, touch, oxytocin. In fact, I'm watching you. When I said you probably chose the person you're sitting next to, I'm watching you all went like this. I simply acknowledged the existence of the relationship, and you felt compelled to reinforce it with a little exchange of oxytocin. Human! No getting around it. You are human. Here's another way to get oxytocin. Acts of kindness and acts of generosity. An act of kindness and generosity is defined as giving of your time and energy with no expectation of anything in return. Sorry, money doesn't count. I can prove it to you. What if I told you that before I came on stage, I went online and I gave $500 to charity? What would you think of me? You'd be like, okay, sure, right? But what if I told you that last weekend I gave up my Saturday and I went and painted schools in the inner city? Then what would you think of me? You'd be like, see? Pretty cool, right? Now the value of my labor was worth a lot less than $500. $500 could pay many more people to paint many more schools. But we as human beings put a premium on those who are willing to sacrifice a non-redeemable commodity, time and energy. We make money, we spend money, we waste money, we make more money, whatever. Time and energy, once you spend it, there is no getting it back. We've all sat in meetings and thought to ourselves, I will never get this time back. Some of you are sitting here right now thinking you will never get this time back. No, it's true. There's a few. There's a couple. Only one or two, but there's a couple. So when someone gives us their time and their energy, the feeling we have back is gratitude. It is sometimes overwhelming. If somebody were to give you money to help you move house versus somebody who would come over, help you pack boxes, help you load a truck, help you unpack boxes and put everything away, who do you feel more gratitude to? The one who gave you a couple $1,000 or the one who gave you their time and their energy? And this is the problem with being a leader, is we don't have enough time or energy for everyone. And so sometimes we have to decide. And email doesn't work either. Can you imagine sending an email to your son? Dear son, your father and I care very much that you feel like you're a valuable member of this family. Please tell me candidly what you think we can do better, because we love you. Or, you walk into his room, you sit on his bed and say, son, your father and I care very much that you feel like you're a valuable member of this family. Please tell me candidly what you think we can do better to be better parents, because we love you. The sentiment is the same, the words are the same, the intention is the same. The difference is, in only one scenario does he believe you care. We conduct way too much business on email. And at the end of the day, email is good for only a couple things. The exchange of information, what time's the meeting, or the exchange of data, like here's the deck you wanted, here's the presentation, here's the brochure. Anything to do with compliments, criticisms, or the exchange of ideas is best done in person or at the very minimum over the phone. And the reason we get so many emails is because we send so many emails. If we want to commit ourselves to helping each other, maybe instead of saying, how can I get fewer emails? Instead, maybe what we can say is, how can I help my friends get fewer emails? In fact, when I get an email that says, are you guys coming to my barbecue on Saturday? Instead of hitting reply all, maybe just hit reply. Instead of sending an email to 50 people who don't care, and all we're doing is clogging their email box, maybe we should just hit one, because we're being considerate. We're thinking about others. And this is part of the problem with the world we live in today. There's an entire section in the bookshop called self-help, and there's no section in the bookshop called help others. How can I lose 10 pounds? How can I find the job that I love? How can I find true love? As opposed to, how can I help a friend of mine live a healthy lifestyle? As opposed to, how can I help a friend find a life of joy, as opposed to how can I help my friend find the thing that they're looking for. It is the very act of service that creates fulfillment in our own lives. Whereas the act of selfish taking, sure, we may check off the boxes and get hits of dopamine and accomplish a couple of things, but at the end of the day, all it does is exaggerate loneliness and isolation. We are human, and to have a balance of technology in our lives is really important. And this is what I love about what you're doing. I was watching those videos. I saw the coaches and the mentors. I saw human beings committing themselves to the support and the love and the success of other human beings. The reason you love this organization is not because of the clothes. I can promise you that. The reason you love this organization is because of each other. It's because you feel safe. It's because you feel cared for. It's because you feel that somebody gets you, and they share your values, and they share your beliefs, and they share your cause, and they share your why, and they're totally committed to one thing and one thing only: your happiness, your joy, your success, and your fulfillment. And the overwhelming sense of wanting to make someone proud for giving all their time and energy to you makes you want to do something. Give your time and energy to someone else. And this is the magic about oxytocin. It encourages us to take care of each other. I was walking down the streets of New York, totally true story. Guy in front of me, his backpack opened up, and a bunch of paper fell out on the street. I didn't think much of it. I bent down, gathered up the paper, handed it back to him, and pointed out that his bag had opened. A small act of kindness, a small act of generosity with no expectation of anything in return. I got a little shot of oxytocin, and I felt good. It feels nice when we do something for someone else with no expectation of anything in return. The person on the receiving end also gets a shot of oxytocin. Thank you, he said. It feels really good when somebody does something nice for us with no expectation of anything in return. We've all had the experience when somebody does something nice for us and we feel all warm and good towards them, and then they go like this, and you're like, ugh. It actually ruins it, because you realize it wasn't oxytocin, it was dopamine. They were just doing it for the hit. They weren't doing it because they wanted to, right? In this case, I didn't want anything in return, and he got a little shot of oxytocin, and we both felt good. I get to the end of the block, totally true story. I get to the end of the block, I'm waiting to cross the street, and a total stranger standing in front of me turns around and says to me, I saw what you did back there, that was really cool. As it turns out, witnessing an act of kindness or generosity releases oxytocin. And the more oxytocin we have in our bodies, the more generous we become. I guarantee you that that guy did something nice for somebody that day simply because he saw me do something nice for somebody that day. This is the biology of pay it forwards. This is why we talk about role modeling, which is why parents have to role model, which is why leaders have to role model, because we will actually copy the behavior. And if the behavior is kindness and generosity, we will create an entire family, we will create an entire culture of warmth and kindness and generosity and people who take care of each other. It's the human body's desperate attempt to get us to look out for each other. And here, it gets even better. The more oxytocin you have in your body, the happier you are. The more oxytocin you have in your body, it boosts your immune system. Happy people live longer. Happy people suffer lower rates of heart disease, diabetes, and heart disease. Oxytocin, people who are in relationships and happy relationships live longer than single people. This is a terrible thing for a New Yorker to find out. At the end of the day, oxytocin, giving, is one of the most beautiful, valuable things we can ever do for each other. It's what makes us, right? And this is what leadership is. Like parenting, everyone in the world has the capacity to be a parent. It doesn't mean everybody wants to be a parent, and it doesn't mean everybody should be a parent.
Yes. Because
it is a lifestyle. It's not whether you like having kids. That takes like 7 minutes. 8. If you're lucky. Having the kids is the fun part. It's raising kids for 18 years plus.
Yeah.
That's the lifestyle. Do you want that lifestyle? Leadership is the same. Getting the promotion, awesome, fun, fantastic, exciting. But do you want to actually have the responsibility of taking care of people in your charge every single day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? It is a lifestyle, and you have to want that lifestyle. Leadership is a choice, remember? Everyone has the capacity for it. Then why would anyone become a leader? It's all about sacrifice and giving. What do we get in return? Well, I ask you the same question. Why on earth would anyone want to become a parent? You get no sleep for the first few years.
Yeah.
Your house is destroyed. Have you seen the backseat of your car lately? You get to eat macaroni and cheese over the sink. That's called dinner.
Yep. And it's cold.
And you get to buy a Honda Odyssey. How many people fantasize about wanting a Honda Odyssey when you're a teenager? Yeah, living a dream, aren't you?
I'm thinking of all the LuLaRoe you can put in
Right?
there.
Sacrifice. Where's the reward? Give.
When they're kind human beings.
It's for the unpredictable glimmers. When you catch your 5-year-old sharing with your 4-year-old.
Yes.
When you check to make sure your 8-year-old is sleeping to find out that they're under the blankets with a flashlight, reading. It's the school play. It's the first boyfriend, it's the first girlfriend, it's the graduation, it's the first promotion, it's the first job, it's the marriage, it's all of that. It's the unpredictable glimmers. It is the exact same reason we become leaders. I cannot tell you on which day it'll be worth it. I cannot tell you. All I know is it's the unpredictable glimmers. When you see those in your care, those who you've committed to their success, achieve something more than they thought they were capable of. And all the long hours and all the stress and all the hard work, all of a sudden, instantaneously, is worth it. I'll tell you one funny story. It's by a remarkable woman by the name of Lieutenant Colonel Dee Dee Halfhill. Dee Dee is a Lieutenant Colonel in the United States Air Force, and 3 things happened to Dee Dee all at once that any one of those things would be difficult, and all 3 happened to her at the same time. She was promoted to Lieutenant Colonel, so she's now management. She was given her first command. She's now in charge of other people. And she was deployed to Iraq for 365 days. All happened at the same time. She was put in command of Balad base, of all the base services, so laundry, housing, food, all the morale events like fun runs and things like that. Dee Dee was going to be in charge of all of that. It was a notoriously poorly run group, and the previous 5 leaders had all been fired. Dee Dee's a high achiever. She wants to do good. And so she made the decision that she was going to succeed where others had failed. She was going to be the great leader that she knew she could be. She was going to give great orders and great things were going to happen. And for the first 6 months, Dee Dee cried herself to sleep every single night. She didn't want to be there. She regretted serving her country. She wanted to come home. She hated it. She absolutely hated it. Every day she put on a brave face and she was lying, hiding, and faking every single day. And every single night she got into bed and cried. And after about 6 months of this, she gave up. She decided she wasn't going to be the success that she planned on being. She wasn't going to turn the base around. She wasn't going to succeed where others had failed. She was going to fail. And she accepted that truth. And upon accepting that truth, she made the decision that she's going to be stuck here for the next 6 months. She's going to completely redirect all of her energies to a completely different place. She was going to take care of her soldiers and her airmen and her Marines and her sailors. They were also stuck here and away from their families. They were also sacrificing. So she was going to ensure that they would have more fun every single day than the day before. And all of a sudden, strange things started to happen. The teams started to come together. The way she gave feedback completely changed. So, for example, if they were doing a fun run, she would give feedback in the middle of the run. Fix that, change that, next time do this. But now with her new perspective, she decided to let people just have fun, and at the end, she'll give the feedback, for example. And the team came together, and guess what happened? The performance started to go like this. And at the end, it was a huge success. Dee Dee had learned what leadership was. Leadership is not about being responsible for the job. Leadership is about taking care of those who are responsible for the job. Leadership is not about being responsible for the results. Leadership is about taking care of those who are responsible for the results. I got to have dinner with Dee Dee a week after she got back, and she told me this whole story. And at the end of the story, she started to cry. I said, was it worth it? And she smiled with tears in her eyes and said, I have never experienced a joy so great as seeing others achieve more than they thought they were capable. That's what you're doing here. This is not about you. This is not about your success. This is about the person to the left of you, and this is about the person to the right of you. Commit to helping them achieve more than they think they're capable of. And we will set the tone. We will set a foundation for leadership in this country that we so desperately need. Everybody's so involved and preoccupied with their success and their happiness and their joy, and we've really forgotten the wonder of taking care of somebody else and seeing others succeed. And you know the amazing thing is when we help others succeed, if I ask them, what's your number one priority, you know what they'll say? The person who helped me. You want to feel safe? Make it your commitment to help others feel safe first. This is ours. We literally can change the entire country if we want to. We can change the world. You in?
Yeah! Woo!
Be the leader you wish you had. Thank you very much.